Hello and welcome to Hila at Home. And this is the first of my spring series. So I thought we'd kick off spring days with an early spring garden tour and join me as we meander through the garden. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the plants that I have and some of the life lessons that I've learned from spring gardening over the years that I've been gardening. I'm starting off with a garden tour because spring for me is very much defined by the garden. On the patio is where I tend to have a lot of the really bright and colorful plants, including these hydrangeas, which have come to the end of their season. And I always make sure to break off the stalks so that they don't waste energy going towards making seeds. The potatoes are coming through. My son decided that he wants to plant some potatoes so he can make French fries and mashed potato from scratch. And this is what we have so far, and he's very excited about it. In the cycle of seasons, spring embodies renewal, growth, and transformation. And beyond its colorful blooms and the warming temperatures, spring offers wisdom about life, resilience, and the beauty of existence. So one of the most important lessons that I think I've learned from spring gardening in particular over the years and the decades that I've been doing gardening is that after the humdrum of winter, when the trees are standing bare and the earth seems completely desolate, spring arrives as a gentle reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always hope. No matter what, there is always hope. The budding of the flowers, the return of greenery, and the warmth of the sun, they speak volumes about the resilience of life. And similarly, I think that in our own lives, when challenges may seem insurmountable, but just as spring follows on from winter, brighter days often lie ahead. And I think it's important to remember that adversity may bend us, but it cannot break us. There's always the promise of renewal on the horizon. This section of the garden, I call it my bluebell glade, and it's in its third year now. It started off with a dream to have a bluebell glade, a similar effect underneath our big chestnut tree, and I've been slowly moving the bluebells from other parts of the garden, and they've been mixing in so beautifully with the self-seeding forget-me-nots, who with their little blue twinkling eyes blend beautifully with the blue of the bluebells. And I love how this is coming along, and my plan is to make it even larger. I also have a clematis plant which I planted last season, and that is coming along so beautifully. I love the leaves. If you look at that wonderful texture that is on the leaves, even when it's not in flower, the leaves create a visual interest. This particular clematis, I got them because they are suited to north-facing walls as well. The clematis will probably take several years before they completely create the vision that I have in mind. And this leads me to another of the life lessons from gardening, which is that patience is key. The transition from winter to spring is definitely a gradual process, and it does require patience and perseverance. And seeds planted in your garden, they take time to sprout, and buds take time to blossom, and trees can take time to grow mature. And the same goes for life. Meaningful growth, like the growth that changes the needle direction, it seldom happens overnight. It tends to require patience, a lot of consistency, and a willingness to just trust the process. Spring teaches us the importance of patience, to have faith that our efforts will bear fruit in due time, even when results aren't immediately apparent. This little vignette that I planted a few weeks ago is still going strong. And of course, just as the sun feeds the flowers that you want, you'll also get some weeds, which I had to be picking up as I was going along. I recently also bought a couple of pots of saxifraga, which are perennial plants, and they do look very pretty, and they're waiting to get potted on. My planting philosophy has always been that, particularly going down the driveway, is that when I'm walking back, or any of our children are walking back into the house, as you turn into the house, to have the look and feel of a lovely sanctuary. So we start off with the white rhododendron over there, and then we have the bluebell glade that is going to extend a little bit further down, and then we have the vignette with the flower pots and the really bright floral perennials, and then we have the doorway. To the left of the driveway, I have this really wonderful lily of the valley that are just coming up, and they are a little bit of a thug. You have to be careful about keeping them contained because they do spread, as you can tell there, but they are really lovely. And the whole idea with the driveway is that it always has something very pleasant to look at. I also have several other clematis that, in true nature with gardening, no matter how you plan for things, I wanted this one to grow up that stick, but instead it has gone completely the opposite way, and I just have to accept that the clematis wants to go where it wants to go. I also recently planted an ignatia plant, which is another perennial plant, which means that it will keep coming back again and again, but it will take several years to establish. And I have another clematis plant growing over there. As well as buying new ones when I come along them, I'm working on within the garden putting a lot of perennials because they take all of the work out, since they just come back by themselves, and all you have to do is tidy up the plant. Spring is definitely a season of blossoming. It's a time when dormant seeds burst forth with their vibrant colors and the fragrant blooms. And in the same way, each of us, we carry within us the potential for growth and transformation. Just as flowers show off their petals to the sun, we too must embrace our uniqueness and allow ourselves to bloom. Whether it's pursuing our passions or overcoming fears or stepping outside of our comfort zones, I think spring reminds us that our true potential lies in our ability to bloom despite the odds. It's looking like we're going to have a bumper blueberry harvest. These are the blueberry blooms on the bush. Last year it didn't do too well, but this year it looks like it's doing good. And I am so excited because this is the first year my tree peony actually has some flower buds. So a tree peony will create those lovely peony flowers, but they're big, they are huge. And this, I am so excited about this tree peony. I'm actually going to start a little series called Tree Peony Watch to see that bloom come into effect, because it is huge. It can sit into the palm of my hand. I also have some tower lilies that I planted out a few weeks ago, and they've already shot out, which is very exciting. I have to build a frame up on them because they grow that tall. And we also have this cherry tree that's finally had its blossom. This cherry tree is actually 2 years old. We planted it in honor of the late Queen's Jubilee, and the whole family, we were involved in choosing the cherry tree, and then we planted it out, and we got it as a half standard sapling, and it's a double petal flower, which is really frilly and blossomy, and it is going to be beautiful once the tree reaches maturity, which will be in about 5 to 6 years or so. One of the things that I absolutely love about spring, one of the most delightful aspects, is the symphony of birdsong that fills the air. The cheerful chirping of birds serves as a reminder of the power of music to uplift the spirit. I love listening to music, particularly music that feeds my soul, but I have to say nothing beats the dawn chorus of the birds in spring. And fun fact, studies have shown that listening to birdsong can reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, promotes overall well-being. And so in our daily lives, amidst the hustle and bustle, taking a moment to tune into nature's melody can be a potent mood booster. So let the birds of spring inspire you to seek out moments of harmony and joy in your own life. One of the things that we do is we encourage birds to visit our garden by having loads of bird feeders around, big or small. You can get regular visitors to your garden in that way. This section of the garden that I'm in right now has got loads of forget-me-nots littered about the place. Hence, I love the blue and green combination. This section is more of the summer garden. A lot more of the plants that are grown in there will be flowering in the summer. And over on the other side, I have some peonies, which are a shorter variety. And I've got some irises that this is their 4th year now. The hellebore loves this spot. It's been there for 3 years and it's been growing really well. I have some more clematis growing up on a trellis, and this clematis is doing much better than the clematis on the other side of the garden. And of course, the apple blossom. Who doesn't love the delicate pink of an apple blossom? And contrasting on the other side is the bright redness of the tulips. The rejuvenation of spring doesn't happen by chance. Whether you have your own garden or you've got plants in your home, you know that nurturing them takes hard work and consistency. And similarly, in our pursuits, success often hinges on hard work, dedication, and resilience. Spring reminds us that diligent effort yields rewards and that growth requires tending to the seeds that we sow. So whatever your goals may be, let spring's life lessons inspire you to persevere in the face of challenges. And of course, after months of gray skies and chilly weather, the warmth of the sun on our skin is a welcome embrace. So very welcome. Sunlight not only nourishes the body with vitamin D, but it also uplifts the spirit, boosting mood and energy levels. And I'm definitely feeling that. And in the same way, nurturing our souls with moments of warmth and light can have such profound effects on our well-being, whether it's basking in the sun's rays or spending time with loved ones or pursuing activities which bring us joy. Spring teaches us the importance of nourishing our souls and embracing our light. So I feel like spring is more than just a season. It's a teacher that imparts invaluable life lessons about resilience, growth, and just the beauty of life. And I hope you take these life lessons to heart this particular spring season. It's one of my favorite seasons, obviously, as a gardener. And the garden is going to play such a huge part of my spring days. And I also hope that this season you will find ways to fill your cup so that it overflows to those around you. I have been learning a lot about gardening over the last 15 years of having a garden that I have to tend and look after. Accumulating gardening knowledge never really was my priority with the gardening, but what I found was that gardening and working outside in nature helps to clear my head, and it gives me greater mental and physical strength to face the day-to-day challenges of life. And truth be told, I am a messy gardener. I like plants that will naturalize well and that have long-lasting blooms that look good even when I neglect them because of the priorities that I have to deal with around the children and the family. And of course, all gardening work isn't pretty blooms and dealing with the plants. There is also the very dirty work of compost making. So we have a very complex compost heap system, which I will share in one of the spring day vlogs. But it is all a lot of fun. We all work together to create this lovely space that we share as a family. Thank you so much for coming to visit with us, and I'll leave you with a lovely quote from one of my favorite Authors Louise Maud Montgomery. Until next time, I wish you blue skies, health, and happiness. Bye.